All right, everybody. Welcome to the Provider AWS meeting. It is Friday, June 25th, 2021. Remember the code of conduct for CNCF and Kubernetes projects, and we'll go ahead and get started. So 2 items on the agenda today. I have the first one, so you can go ahead and start with that. Basically, it's just a pull request that I opened up for, actually there's 2 pull requests. One of them is to Kubernetes, and one of them is to, I guess the important one is to Kubernetes. So let me just, that's the issue which links to the other pull request. I should have just linked the only one that I didn't link is the one that I should have linked, but that's okay. So if we, actually, I'll go ahead and share my screen. Okay, so the idea is basically the name that is passed to client builder in the utility functions that start the cloud control loops. This name is hard coded, and it's used to create a service account for each control loop. So that effectively means that the name you can't change it unless you duplicate all of this code in your like in the cloud provider itself, and that means you can't change the service account, and then you can't change the RBAC. So you're stuck with the RBAC that's bootstrapped by default. So there's like a couple different control loops that fall under the node controller RBAC, for example. So as you change functionality, you might want to change the role and such things. So anyway, this allows us to change that. So I'll just quickly show the pull request. There was a couple of different approaches I could have taken. I took the least invasive one. There was some talk of whether I should try to change like the generic controller manager config that takes a list of controllers and change that. So instead of just a list of controllers, it's like a list of controllers plus their service account name. That would have been a pretty big change, and I wanted to avoid that. So this basically just in a lot of places adds a client name to some of these init functions and changes there's like these init func constructors, and it just changes those to include a client name. Those can be overridden from the cloud provider. So if you look at what a cloud provider has to do to change these names, if I get the right, yes, this one. So basically, you can override the client names from your main function in the cloud provider. So yeah, I don't know, just if anybody's interested, would appreciate a review and see if we think this is a good idea. And if it is, I'll take it to say cloud provider.
This is cool. It sounds like it was motivated by Kubernetes RBAC, but presumably you could also end up using this for IRSA. Is that true? I mean, yeah, for IRSA.
Well, I'm not sure what or how you would do that. Maybe you can explain, but let me just say that this was motivated by, I don't want, when we migrate to the, like when EKS migrates to the external cloud provider, we want to manage our own RBAC. And without this, we can't do that unless we duplicate a bunch of the utility functions into our cloud controller. So that was the primary motivation. Just like we want to be free from that bootstrapped RBAC, if that makes sense.
That does make sense. Yes, I'm not sure. I'm sort of reasoning by analogy with how it works on GCP. But as I understand it, like the exchange is, I exchange my service account token. I get a service account token that's bound with a different audience, and then I do some fancy exchange. So if I'm running under a different, to get an AWS IAM token or a token valid with AWS IAM. So if I'm running under different Kubernetes service accounts, we could then do more fine-grained allocation of cloud IAM, as long as those are genuine Kubernetes service accounts. But anyway, it's one to think of for the future, I guess.
So are you saying, like, because the only way this makes things more fine-grained is in a couple of cases. So the idea, before this was around, the idea is that every controller in the KCM and the CCM gets its own service account token, as long as you specify -- use service account credentials, which we're doing, right? So, but there's weird stuff like the node controller, the node lifecycle controller, the node IPAM controller, they all have the same identity, and we can't change that, even if we wanted to in the external cloud provider. So this allows us to change that.
Got it. But you're anticipating more setting them the same, right? Or
what was that?
Sorry.
We don't want them to be the same because, I mean, it's just better for auditability and least privilege for each loop to have its own identity.
Okay. Well, I will read the PRs. It sounds like there might be. Yeah. It sounds like there's some details, but I will. It sounds great.
Cool. So that's it for that. Yeah, just reviews would be appreciated. Do you want to take the next one, Justin?
Sure. Yes. So I think a couple of weeks ago, Cyprian Hackman contributed this PR number 230, which adds support for returning IPv6 node addresses. Essentially, Cyprian has got IPv6 working on AWS, I think with Calico as an overlay, but this is sort of part of it. And I think it's ready for review. I think Angus Lees gave an early review and had some feedback, and I think Cyprian incorporated that, and so it now has LGTM from Angus, and I think it's in pretty good shape. I think it's basically additive, if I understand correctly, because I don't imagine most people are currently running with IPv6. So on the nodes anyway, on AWS. If we think it's good, I think it's a good unblocker. I think I would love to see more than just Calico, but I think it's a great starting point.
Got it. Okay, cool. Yeah, I think we'll try to get this merged as well. I think we looked at this last meeting too, so probably.
We did, and all that has changed since then is I think Angus had Angus's feedback was incorporated, and Angus gave LGTM.
Got it. Okay, sounds good. Okay, that's it for the agenda. Did anyone want to add any items? I will just say, since Peter is here, I am still working on open sourcing the certificate controller, just FYI. I should rephrase that. Haven't done any work recently on it, but it's in the process of happening. So I think, I don't want to give a timeline on that, but I think next few months, as soon as soon as the majority of the work for the like migrating EKS onto the external cloud providers done, then I'd like to push that through. All right, anything else? Cool. I will stop recording. Thanks everybody for joining.